Mississippi State, the Bulldogs, traveled to the Swamp to take on Florida in a game that was very close. Mistakes from both sides, good plays from both sides. Florida has the ball, looking to put it away, can't get the first down. It's like, oh my gosh, Florida's choked this. They punt it away to Mississippi State. Mississippi State's only down 2. They're driving. They're in fringe field goal range. There's like 40 seconds left. All they need is a field goal, and they're going to win. And then Blake Shapen throws a pick to Florida's nose tackle, and Florida picks him off. He goes down. They run out the clock. They walk out with a 2-point win in what will now be Billy Napier's last game as the Florida head coach. Y'all's thoughts on this game? I know just the State fan base has been a buzz with takes and thoughts about this game, so now it's y'all's chance to get y'all's out there.
Yeah. JP, I don't know, how would you like to start? Do you want us to go emotions and that kind of takeaways and then game, or other way around?
We can go with emotions.
Okay.
I guess.
I know me and you have, not went at it, but I think there's been a little bit of chirping over the last 24 hours in our group chat with in yapping with all of us talking about. I'll say I was frustrated with Shapen yesterday, and the fact that we should have won that game, missing open touchdowns, sitting there last night with a minute left, I was literally on my knees, hands over my mouth, tears in my eyes. I was like, we're gonna win a game. I was about ready to. I literally was like, I'm gonna go outside and just scream in the Cotton District, and I don't really care if people get I was so excited, I was so nervous, and I think that there have been a lot of people doing the same. And we're going down, and it just doesn't feel real. It kind of felt like the Arizona State walk-off touchdown, except that I was working that game, and so I didn't have time. I did say after that game in our review that if I hadn't been working, I would have just started crying in the stands had I been in the stands, but I was on the field working, so I couldn't. But I was frustrated after the loss. I actually took a nap, and so I woke up, and I was like, now that I've slept on this after an hour-long nap, I'm a lot less frustrated.
So real quick, can I take you through my view of you in the moment?
Yeah, do it.
So it's pretty well known I'm not a State fan. I do root for State in every game they don't play against A&M. Potentially UVA.
Or UVA, yeah.
It depends on my mood, if I'm feeling like rage baiting or not. But the play hurt me not just as bad, but I literally was face down in the couch cushion for 20 seconds because it was just that shocking, I guess. But then I look over, and Sanders has his head in his hands, and then he lays down, and he's just on the couch, laid down under the blanket, just on his phone, a couple exclamations of how did that just happen, what just happened, how did we do that, why would you do that, and then it's just silence, and he's scrolling his phone, and I keep hearing the audio of the play as he's just sitting there. I'm like, at one point I was like, you got to stop torturing yourself, because he just kept watching the play over and over again. And there was no smile for the next hour, and not very many words said, and then he falls asleep, and he wakes up, and everything's better. So that was it was interesting being an outside enjoyer of that moment. But yeah, you can recontinue now, Sanders. I just wanted to share
I watched that play on Twitter 100 times, in the 30 minutes after the game. I'll just try and cut to the chase, because I don't want to elaborate, because it's really hard. Every State fan knows exactly how I felt. I was frustrated with Lebby. I was frustrated with Shapen. I felt like we had let another one get away from us, just like we let the Tennessee game get away from us. The defense absolutely played they played incredible. And it really hurt me for them that we lost the game, especially in the way that we did. But I'm still all in on I wasn't all in on Lebby for about 2 hours after the game. I was like, what kind of play caller are you that you're going to be in that situation where all we need is a field goal and you pass the ball? And I was mad, frustrated with Shape, and I was like, how are you throwing that interception? But 24 hours later, I think that I've mellowed out and calmed down a little bit, and the reality is that Lebby has taken a roster that was atrocious after Zach Arnett. It went 2-10 last year. We came in this year, the win total was 3.5. We hit that total in 4 games with a win over Arizona State, who I think is still a top 25 team. They were number 12 at the time. That win, that could be a program-defining win. He doesn't have an SEC win. But his SEC games to this point have been Tennessee at home, which we almost won, at Texas A&M, and they're a top 5 team, and now Florida on the road. We have been out-talented in all 3 of those matchups going into the game, and we were still in 2 of them. And he's still young. This is his second full year as a head coach. I think that, like, initial frustrations were what was the main takeaway, and now there's a lot more, like, grace to be like, all right, the big picture is he's done a good job recruiting. I love the guys that he's brought in. I love the guys that are still on the roster and are developing. Zachary Tillman, Kelly Jones, Isaac Smith, brings in Jerron Manning, who leads the team in tackles, brings in Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans, gets Fluff Bothwell, Devon Booth in the building. Like, he's bringing in all these guys who I love watching play football, and I think he's doing a good job of getting the best out of them and developing them. We just aren't good enough yet, and I do think we're getting better. The last play, and JP, you're the football IQ guy. I'll let you speak more to this. It sucks. The nose that was his second time in coverage all night, I believe. According to PFF, I was looking back at, like, his positioning. That was his second coverage snap of the night.
Well, he is a nose tackle.
Right, that's my point, is, like, meaning out of the however many 50 offensive snaps we played before it, he had dropped into coverage once. That's not something I would expect Florida to pull out at that moment. The offense was cooking, right? They had just scored a touchdown the drive before. The offense was hotter than it had been all night. They were driving. Shapen was kind of wheeling. He was hot until that play, hitting the outs. He had, hitting guys on the out routes. He had the scramble, which is not something we've come to expect from him, but the first play of that drive was a QB scramble. Picks up an immediate first down. Like, the offense was hot, and Levy took a shot to, like, give his kicker, who'd already missed one field goal, the best chance to win the game, and it ended up not working. If Florida doesn't, for some reason, put a nose tackle in coverage, or if Blake Shapen somehow manages to see that play coming before it does, like, and picks up 6 to 8 yards, well, like Levy said, that's all he wanted was 6 or 8 yards. It's not what he said. He said the other 6 or the other number. But if they got 6 or 8 yards and we hit that walk-off field goal, like, there's, like, parades in the street of Starkville because Levy got the extra yardage to guarantee the game winner. Like, I sat on the couch for 20 minutes, like, for hours going, when is the post-game conference going to post? When is the post-game conference going to post? It posted. I watched it on my car ride last night. Made it home safely. That was a concern.
Proud of you.
You were like, maybe don't watch it while you're, driving, just in case.
That was a jest.
That was a jest. That was a jest. And now I'm jesting about it. But it was fine. And he said, like, I like the call, hate the outcome. And I think that's kind of where I am now. Like the call, hate the outcome. I hate the outcome of the game, but I am still excited to see where the rest of the season goes. JP, I'll let you talk now that I've had my spiel.
Yeah, for the listener, the call was they were going to run an option route, meaning Anthony Evans had the option to either cut inside.
It wasn't Anthony Evans. It was a redshirt freshman.
Whoever it was had the option to cut inside, sit down, or cut to the out. In that scenario, for me, it doesn't make sense as a quarterback in my own right playing video games with that timing. That's one thing I talk about so much with me is that teams need me because they don't know how to manage the clock in late game scenarios. And in that kind of scenario, there's no reason to throw it over the middle of the field unless you plan on fire drilling or basically fire drilling and running up and spiking it. So why, as a receiver, would you cut inside on your option route? Shapen expected him to cut outside. That's why the throw is 5 yards behind the receiver. So for all the people on Twitter that are claiming, what did Shapen see? He saw it correctly. The receiver just didn't go the way that he expected him to. Shapen also admitted that he did not see the nose tackle, which is something that I said but was griped about. How would you expect that? How would you see him given Shapen's stature? It would have been completely blocked up by the center, and there would have been no chance. But the play call doesn't make sense. I love that Levy liked the call, and that if you listen to Shapen's interview and Levy's interview, they are like on the exact same page. They both said 6 or the other number 3 or 4 times, and that's kind of a joke, but it's also truth. Like, they were both looking for the same thing. You could both clearly tell that they were on the same page. They both loved the play call. Levy said he wanted to get to the 20-yard line, which I understand, given that Ferry had missed a field goal already. But run the ball. And I think this is what Levy will learn. I hope, at least that in that scenario, just hand the ball off to Booth. Devon had 5 yards per carry at that point in the night.
Yeah, it wasn't like y'all weren't running at all.
And they maybe they just don't expect the run. You could pick up the 7 or 8 yards that you wanted. Obviously your first reaction is disappointment, and every State fan feels that. But to be completely honest with you, why would you expect it to be perfect? Because Levy has never been in that scenario.
Yeah.
That exact scenario where he's playing for a field goal to win. He's never been in that scenario. He's been in that scenario playing to go score a touchdown, Arizona State, and the Tennessee game in overtime. He's been in that scenario. He's never been in the scenario of playing to go kick a field goal and win the game. And so, what scenario?
The Tennessee game, 2 minutes left, tie game, we get the ball. That is,
he hadn't gotten down the field, though.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Punt.
I'm just saying that like he has been in the scenario where
he hadn't been in.
Yes, now I see what you're saying. He hadn't been
opponent territory
yes,
right
I see
there.
Now. I see.
Ready to go win the game, and the game it's now theirs, ours to lose at that point.
Yeah,
he still had to go win the game in the Tennessee scenario, and so that was his philosophy, was to throw the ball there. It didn't work. Chapin took accountability, which I'm proud of. But you got to run the ball there. And I think Levy deserves the grace, as you were saying, to learn from that, and he will learn from that going forward. It's kind of been a problem anyway, regardless, for Levy. It's just I've really disagreed with the play calling once we've crossed the 50-yard line and before we've gotten in the red zone. When you have a kicker that, at least at this point, when given the opportunities, is kicking as well as Kyle Ferry has, and is kicking from as far as Kyle Ferry has this year, too often we have not played well in terms of getting the field goal. And that has been the case in multiple games. It was the case in the Arizona State game, the Tennessee game, and in this game as well. Like, when we had crossed midfield, I think it was either the second or the third possession, and you bring Kamario Taylor out, and you ran the ball 3 times, and then we sub-shape it in and run the quarterback run again. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And, of course, everyone feels that way. But we're right there. We're right there in field goal range. Why can't we just go and find something to pick up 5 yards and be right there and be ready to send Kyle out if we have to? That's what Florida did. Florida was able to get in those spots, and they had negative plays here and there, but they had already secured the field goal range. And because of that, they got to kick a field goal and make a field goal, and that ends up being the difference in the game. Every damn point matters. And so I've hated, quite frankly, that part of his play calling. But I don't necessarily I don't hate him for throwing the ball there, because it's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's what we hired him for, is to do what he wants to do.
It's what I told Sanders when we were discussing what he was going to say in the postgame. I was like, I just want him to, like, the last thing I want is my coach to second-guess his own decisions in that moment. I want him to be, like, confident in what he did and be honest in that moment, and I felt like he was, so I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
But I probably would have run the ball because you were getting pretty good run push all night. So it wasn't like you were, I don't know, Kentucky on the goal line against Texas, and it's like, hey, maybe don't run up the middle.
We've been getting good pushing the run all night, but I'm not going to harp on that. I agree. Like, I want him to be confident in his decision first, and then second, learn from that.
Sure.
And we won't know if he's learned from that until we see him in that same or similar situation again. But what I'll say is the team has gotten better in the last 18 months that he's been here. And that's not just because we've gotten more talented. It's in part because Levy has been learning as a head coach. And I think that you made a really great point about having not been in that situation before, better than I said it. Like, I think that he is improving as a head coach, and I think that the team is improving as a result. And I think the team is improving, and as a result, he's improving as a head coach. I think that that's good. The last thing I think I'll say is it's not just that decision. There were lots of little things that I think are in part coaching. The Xavier Gayton fumble in the red zone, right? If he doesn't fumble that, worst case, that's a field goal. Oh, look, now the score is 24-23. That sucks. The Zachary Tillman's penalties were really, really unfortunate. The hit on the wide receiver, I don't hate as much. That's like an in-the-moment thing. You're knocking him off his route. You just came at him from a really poor angle and made a bad decision in the moment. But, like, that sucks. The worst one, in my opinion, was the third down targeting that ended up being incomplete. They would have had to punt on 4th and 7. Now the score is 21-20. Like, that's really unfortunate. So, yeah, it's just lots of little things that need to be cleaned up. And if you think about where the season began, what was the first, like, remember our week 1 review and how it was like, wow, we got to get this motion, false start, offensive penalties cleaned up. They've been cleaned up
We
a
had
lot.
one false start yesterday.
Like
There was an illegal shift
There
or something
was,
because
yeah.
we made the joke that he broke that play back out.
Yeah, but like if you think like there were like 8 of those week 1. I think that like they are cleaning those things up. And you know, we're making new mistakes, but I'd rather make new mistakes after fix instead of the same old mistakes. Because if you're making new mistakes, it means that you're improving and now something else, like in theory, right? There are some scenarios where you're just bad and now you're just changing where the bad is, but I think that like they addressed that and it's gotten a lot better. And now maybe we look to address ball security. The Anthony Evans fumble 2 weeks ago. It was Anthony Evans. That was tough. But like things like that, ball security, like I'm sure that that's something that they are aware is important. And I expect them. I just like initial frustration, but now I'm like I still trust him as a coach. And because I still trust him as a coach, Blake Shapen is the guy. That's the last thing I'll say about that. Everyone wants us to start Kamario Taylor. I still trust Jeff Levy. You want to start Kamario Taylor?
Yeah, but just because I want to watch him play. It's not like I actually am a State fan
gonna
and
get
care
to.
about wins and losses. I just
that's
want to
fair.
watch the kid play.
I still trust Jeff Levy as our head coach right now. Not in part because I have no choice. I think that things are getting better for our team and for our program, and I think that he is a part of that. And as a result, if his guy is Blake Shapen, then my guy is Blake Shapen, because Jeff Levy is going to start the quarterback that gives him and gives us the best chance of winning. And if he's starting Blake Shapen, that means that's the guy that gives us the best chance of winning.
Sure.
I'm never going to argue with a guy whose entire thing has been quarterback coaching, right? Dylan Gabriel was a huge piece that Jeff Levy did. He at Ole Miss, like he was the quarterback coach and helped create those offenses. I think he was offense coordinator, quarterback coach. Tied.
I don't
know. He was involved in the offense, and offense has been his thing. That's where how he got to where he is now. If he's starting Shapen, then like I'm gonna have to stick with that, because if Cromanhook or Camario was showing something in practice that they are better than what we are seeing on the field, they would be starting.
Yeah. I'm going to give my 2 cents on the game real quick, and
Do it.
actually has nothing to do with the gameplay. That may be the worst broadcast I've ever watched.
Oh my gosh.
From a production standpoint. Sanders was confused at the start of the game. He thought we were listening maybe to the radio broadcast because the one guy's mic was so bad. The cameraman had a terrible time all night staying with the ball. The announcers struggled constantly, know what was quickly
happening.
addressing the play, be like, oh, that was incomplete, and the guy's holding the ball, or oh, that's complete, the ball's laying on the ground. He got the first down, he's 2 yards back. They kept putting the first down yellow line like 10 yards off of where it's supposed to be, and the numbers would be wrong. Anytime they went to replay, it looked like it was a zoomed-in iPhone, and the announcer would be like, oh, you can see here that like the ball.
On an old iPhone too.
Yeah.
Some of the new iPhones have better quality than that.
True. But
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, you can see here that the ball clearly crosses the plane, and it's like, I can't find the ball. It's so blurry.
Can you prove that?
So that was just, I don't know, that really was really frustrating, just trying to enjoy the game as kind of someone with less stakes in it. I was like, this is just a terrible product.
Yeah. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to watching college football is if you don't know where the referees are and what to look for, and you're like talking like you do. This was the thing, like in band we have a little bit bite that we play every first down, and we would play it all the time when we didn't have a first down because people don't know to look for the referees. And so when the people in the booth are like, "Oh, that's a complete pass," and the referee is running in waving that it's an incomplete pass, or they'll say the vice versa, and you've got the referee, doing his hands over his head for a first down, move the chains. I'm like, what, are we watching the same thing? Because I can see this on a TV where the camera is not pointed at the referee. Like, if you don't know to look, it just bothers me. That's a big pet peeve. And the commentators were frustrating me because I think I was yelling at them more than I was at our team for the majority of the time. But yeah. Any other final thoughts?
Well, I think JP wants to break down the game a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we haven't done that yet.
Also, I don't know if anyone wants to address what Tucker's saying in the chat because he's decidedly more negative than the two of you.
I was
y'all
going
are.
to.
Cool.
Do you want to read, yeah, you got it.
So Tucker is saying that Levy got out-coached off of a bye by Billy Napier, who was fired, of course, today. I would quite frankly say to that, who cares? It happened. People lose off buys. We were in this game. I think it's just you got to take a little bit of perspective there. As Sanders had said in his little spiel, we've played 3 SEC games. One was against a top 5 team in the country on the road. We were in that game for much of the first half.
The entire first half. We was 7-3 going into halftime.
Even in the game in the third quarter, having the ball with a chance to go take the lead. And then the other 2 SEC games, we have lost in overtime on the final play and lost on the road at Florida in the Swamp on essentially the final play. So for me, I don't know if he got outcoached. We just didn't execute, and he feels that way. The way he feels is that negative plays set us back again, which is the big difference in scoring on the first drive and then scoring on 2 of the last 3 drives versus not scoring at any point in between in the game. I think for the Blake Shapen one, you're saying that you don't know if you trust Levy developing players because you feel that Blake Shapen is worse than he was when he came in here on day 1. And to that, I would ask, did we expect Blake Shapen to elevate his game comparatively to what he was prior when he came to Mississippi State? I don't think so, personally. I think we brought him in to be almost sort of a bridge, as sort of a baseline of, okay, we have some kind of talent playing quarterback.
Because he wasn't even really supposed to be here this year, right? He only here because of the medical red shirt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That will be completely, from a quarterback standpoint at least, will be analyzed with how Kamario Taylor plays or even Luke Cromanwork in the future. But he has developed guys. Like Devon Booth has been outstanding through 2 years playing for him, and you can tell with the way people are drawn to him in our brightest moments so far this season that it's not like he's a bad developer. Like in the Arizona State win, you have so many guys that go straight to him first, namely Kamario Taylor. That's relationship building. When I see how him and Shapen talked in the post-game interview and how they're almost identical in the way that they responded, that's development, in my opinion, developing a young man. I understand how you feel with Shapen, not being able to make that mistake. Well, he took responsibility, so I think that's about all you can ask for. And let's see, what'd you say last? I'd say I expect Blake Shapen to be better than 3 for 7 on wide open deep balls. Well, I'd also say, to that, I think it's actually awesome that we can even do that.
Yeah.
Because was not the strong suit of Will Rogers whatsoever. There was really maybe 2 deep balls his entire 3 years here.
87-yard touchdown to Ducking against Deuce Harmon against A&M in 2022.
Yeah, you had the Caleb Ducking one, and then you had the one at South Carolina, the Tulu Griffin, and those are the only 2 ones that he hits. Shapen continues to hit them every single game, and you just can't expect a quarterback to be 100% on them. The best quarterback on the damn planet, Patrick Mahomes, has missed so many of them throughout the last 2 years. He's missed many this year. He missed a few throws here and there, but he's hitting throws. Like, I think that's a huge part, that it's just being completely passed on. I think expecting perfection on deep balls down the field is just impossible. No one's perfect. Carson Beck threw 4 picks this weekend, namely a ton on deep throws down the field. Like we talked about, or I talked about specifically in the preview, shaping and clean pockets prior to this game was 74% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick for 124 passer rating. So I don't think he's playing piss poor, and he didn't play piss poor on Saturday. I thought he was actually exceptional. Missing a few key ones, I completely understand, but he threw for 320 yards on that Florida defense. Who had done that yet? No one.
Yeah.
No one had done that yet. With namely probably the worst offensive line, maybe better than USF.
Yeah.
Sure.
That had played that Florida front.
I would say USF's offensive line does better in what it's asked to do than State's offensive line does.
Agreed. Without Fluff Bothwell, he got to his moments. He hit his shots. And yes, he missed a few, but you're just forgetting the ones that he hit. The
Sure.
one on the first drive of the game, like that gets us to it immediately in field goal range, and it ends up being a touchdown. Tucker saying, I don't have confidence in State winning a game at all the rest of the year. And I think that's no good player is going to sign up to play for a coach that's 0-16 in the SEC. Okay. That's where I wanted to wrap, at least, with something similar to this. The narrative can completely change, and it will completely change if we are to win a game the rest of the year. Right after that game, it will completely change. If we beat Texas this weekend, it will completely change. That is a program-defining win. If we lose every single game the rest of the year, except for the one the day after Thanksgiving, and we've lost all of those games by 150, if we win that game on a game-winning safety and we win 2-0, everything will change. It will be a completely different story. So you have to have faith going forward. I think that's what Sanders was trying to get at a little bit. Don't punt on the season. It's not like we're playing for draft picks, which is why I've punted on this damn team in the black and gold. If we win the Texas game, that's a huge win. Who's to say we can't maybe shock Georgia at home? I don't know. With the way their defense is playing and the way our offense can play,
Yeah.
we could score as many points as the school up north did.
Yeah.
Winning at Arkansas, we can score with Arkansas, and if we're able to control that game, we can win that game. The Missouri game, Missouri was on. They should have lost to Auburn.
Yeah.
Point blank. So I see 5 games that maybe we could win. So I completely disagree. I think
So I'm hearing playoffs, then. That's only...
it's in. I mentioned
3
that
losses.
when we were 4-0, or after we lost to Tennessee, we were 4-1. I wouldn't punt on the season. There's no reason to.
Sure.
I wouldn't punt on Blake Shapen because there's no reason to. I think we're gonna get to bowl eligibility. I think we'll pick up 2 wins, and both of those wins will be upsets more than likely. I don't think we'll be favored at Arkansas, so I expect us to be underdogs the rest of the way. But don't punt on everything yet. We've got plenty of program-defining chances in front of us, which is what is so great about getting to play in the SEC at this point in our program, because we have so many chances every single weekend to win. If we win the damn Egg Bowl, you will not feel this way.
Yeah.
No one will.
I think the difference is me and you are talking about a team that's 4-3, and Tucker and all the other State fans are talking about a team that's 4-8.
Or the team that just lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I would say 0-3 in the SEC.
That's fair, or 0-3. But I'm talking about a team that right now is 4-3 and has the rest of the season ahead of them, and everyone else is like, if Lebby goes 0-16, if Lebby can't win an SEC game, we're not going to get recruits. He's not 0-16 yet. Let's chill on that panic button because he hasn't lost all those games yet. He still has a chance to win them. He's been in 2 of them with a very great team and a very talented team on the road. the season's not over, so let's just chill there.
Yeah.
And then also, he brought in Fluff Bothwell to come play for a coach that was 0-8 in the SEC. He brought in Brendan Thompson and Anthony Evans for a coach. Like, we see the relationships he's building with the players.
Got Kamario Taylor.
He got Kamario Taylor
Money
after
helps
going
too.
0-8. Like, just stop for all the fans and also Tucker. This is just to address like your concerns. Like, we're not 0-16 in the SEC yet, and he's already brought in talent for a team that went 2-10 last year. So
This
ready?
is a team that's just learning how to win, and we haven't figured that out yet. It's the exact same thing I said about that team as well. They just haven't learned how to win in close games yet. But like I also said, I think after the Tennessee game, what a blessing it is to be in a spot where we are feeling like we should win these games after the way last year and even the year prior went. So I would take that for what it's worth. Like I said, when I was walking into the Tennessee game and I'm walking with Andrew McBride and Bean, and I'm saying what a blessing it is to feel like we have a chance in this game, and then we did have a chance. Take that for what it's worth. Alabama's good, so I think you should feel maybe some more positivity at least. Even if State looks like it's down, I don't think it's as down as people are making it.
Alabama is up.
Yep.
And also, don't start Kamario Taylor.
Yeah, and Tucker, we've got a lot of games left that we could win. So
Y'all can reconvene in iMessages later.
yeah, we'll text later.
I just refuse to believe you think we can't win any of these last 5 games, like even like slightly.
Yeah,
I think
we've got a team Florida beat, and we get to play them at home. We've got the Egg Bowl, and Ole Miss's defense is like Swiss cheese on Saturday at home. Like, that's 2 games that we can win.
The Texas game is the smallest Power 4 spread we've had so far this year.
Wow.
2.5.
6.5.
Dang, I was way off.
Arizona State was higher, and of course A&M, Florida, and Tennessee were higher.